Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to me, I guess. I'm the only one here. So, first things first, before I forget, because sometimes I forget, the question of the day. So here's the question of today, the day, and it's, what is green and can sing? That's the question of the day and the answer at the end of this video. So, before I get to the main subject, I thought I would give you a tip on an easy way to make some money. I discovered this just by myself just recently, and I guess the bad news is that you probably have to live in New York for this to work. You could try it in some other place, but I think you really have to live in New York. This is it. You take a subway. There are two or three of them, the number 4, the number 1, I think I'll get you near there, to the Brooklyn Bridge, all right? And then you want to stand outside the Brooklyn Bridge, and this is New York, so I'm actually a rarity, a conservative in New York. Most people are liberals. You can flag down any passerby, really, anybody that you see, and get them to stop for a second, and then you just ask them, do you watch CNN? And if they say yes, then you ask them, when you watch CNN and they report the news, do you believe them? And if they say yes, then you say, so you trust CNN News and you believe that they just report whatever is accurate and they leave out so-called fake news? And if they say, yes, I believe that, then this is the key part. Then you point to the bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, and you say, well, if you believe that, I've got a great bridge I can sell you. And as a matter of fact, right here. Easiest 20 bucks I ever made. So if you live in New York, or if you happen to be visiting New York and you're down by the Brooklyn Bridge, just try it. If you're coming from outside New York, who knows, it could pay for your whole trip. And that's my little business tip. And now go on to the main story, which is actually the main story because it's the only story that I want to talk about today. And a couple of angles here. I read yesterday that there was, as happens every so often, unfortunately, there was a woman who showed her great love for this great country of ours by peeing on an American flag and I think stuffing it into a toilet. That's what I read. I'll link to the article for you if you want to read it yourself. And I do that. I link to all the articles that I mentioned so that you can read them if you want to. So there are 2 points I want to make about it, and the first point is that, she said herself, what is the big deal? It's just a piece of cloth, and it's just a symbol. Well, if that's what she thinks, then why did she pick the American flag? Why not just pick why not the Cuban flag? Why not the North Korean flag? Why not just a piece of cloth? Or maybe she's got an old shirt or something, and she could just pee on that. There's a reason why you picked the American flag. And she said, it's just a symbol. Well, if burning symbols are okay, then how about this? That's the Nazi book burning. This is from 1933, some students, university students. And isn't that kind of, now that I think of it, what we see today? These are students, university students who are supposed to be open to all kinds of ideas and intellectual inquiry, and here they are burning books. And isn't that what you see today in the University of California in San Francisco and other universities? I don't see them burning books, but they want to ban certain books, and they're attacking speakers, conservative speakers who want to speak on campus. And I would note the contrast right here in New York. You had Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He spoke at Columbia University. This was the president of Iran at the time. He was allowed to speak, and conservatives may have protested, but they didn't try to stop it, or certainly didn't set any bonfires, as happened at one campus. So I would note that contrast. But the other point that I was going to make before I digressed was that when you stop a conservative speaker or somebody that you don't agree with from speaking, how is that different from a book burning? You're still preventing an idea that you don't like from being disseminated. So that was the number one point. The number 2 point, if we're just talking about symbols, then why would this woman or anybody on the left object to, say, burning the Communist Manifesto or Howard Zinn's History of the United States? I can think of any number of books that offend me, and why can't we just burn them? I mean, they're just words on paper. The book is just a paperweight. The book does nothing except hold words, which are just symbols. As the old saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So when you talk about the flag and you say it's only a symbol, the flag is a symbol of millions upon millions of words and ideas and blood that was shed for this country and for what this country believes. The second point I want to make, and this was in the title, I'm sure I shocked a lot of people with the title of today's video, why I actually am, in a way, I support the flag burning and the flag peeing on, in this case of this woman, or I see it as a benefit. Let's put it that way. I can't say I support it, but I see it as a benefit, and this is why. It's not the flag burning, it's the mindset of the people doing the flag burning. And if they did not burn the flag, you would not know that there are such people in this country and that this is what they believe, and you would not be prepared for something like this. And it's better that you know. And the responsibility is always on us, the people. It's always been in my mind, and this would shock a lot of people, but millions of people and the Holocaust and World War II did not happen because Hitler spoke. It's because millions of people listened. Millions of Germans listened. So the responsibility is on us when such people speak, is for us not to listen. That's one reason why I support contrary speech and offensive speech, because you don't need a First Amendment to protect speech that everybody likes. It's to know such people exist and to test us to be resistant to their ideas. And the biggest reason of all, I believe that every generation, the left has to be exposed for what they are, because this is a problem that I see, because as you noticed, a lot of you younger people watching this, I'm an older person and I've lived through 2 or 3 cycles of this. You have the left, they act out as they are today, and then they become quiet, and the Democratic Party, just as this happened when Clinton was president, they pretend, well, in his case, give him credit, he honestly tried to move the Democratic Party to the center, and he succeeded for a while, and I'll give him credit for that. And we had some good government. The scandals aside, you had a capital gains tax cut, and you had welfare reform, and he did support the police. So I'm happy to give a Democrat credit, but what you more often see is something that you saw with Barack Obama, which is that you have somebody very liberal, very left, and they hide what they are. They pretend to be a centrist to get into power and to get elected, and then they move left. The only way you can be warned about that is because a lot of their supporters react violently, as you see in Portland, Oregon, or with the anti-fascist, actually fascist demonstrations against Trump supporters, and then you just saw it with the G20 in Europe. This is a worldwide characteristic of the left, their love of violence and their love of desecrating symbols of Western civilization, and especially the symbol of the greatest Western civilization, and therefore the greatest civilization ever, the United States of America. And if they didn't act that way and let the American people see what the left really is and who supports the Democratic Party, you wouldn't know, because Barack Obama and people like they're not going to help you, and you can't depend on the press that's supposed to protect our liberties and help us make proper judgments about whom we vote for by giving us the information we need to know. Well, if you're the Los Angeles Times and you have the famous Khalidi tape showing presidential candidate Barack Obama appearing and reacting favorably to a virulent Islamist, you don't give that out to the people. You bury it because you want the left to win and you want Barack Obama elected, and then you expect him to throw off the cloak of centrism when he gets elected and show his true colors. So the press isn't going to help you, and the candidates aren't going to help you, and the only way you're going to know is if the supporters, the people who cannot control themselves, the people who are so angry and so determined to bring our civilization down and so determined to replace capitalism with socialism, you need those people, and we need to see what they do, because the mainstream Democratic Party, they put those people under the rug, and they managed to do it for a while, and we need, for each generation, we need these people to come to the fore, to come to the surface, for a new generation to see them, because people forget. People who are seeing this now were not born during the '68 Chicago riots. And that's why, in a strange roundabout way, I actually support the flag burning. Not because I think the flag should be burned or I hate this country, but because, well, look at the alternative. Which would you rather have? And that's the point. The mindset of these people exists. So I would rather have them burning flags than burning cars and burning buildings. At least it's their flag and they paid for it, so let them burn it, rather than burning my house or my car or my business. And finally, again, I think as long as such people exist, each new generation forget, and we periodically, for each generation, need them to expose themselves so we can see what they are. And the job for conservatives and for the Republican Party, which is the closest to a conservative party with the hope of getting elected that we have, is to link these people to the Democratic Party. Do not let them get away with saying, well, the right does the same thing. The right does not do the same thing. The conservatives are not out there burning cars. And they're certainly not out there burning American flags. And that's it for today. Thank you for stopping by. Oh, and I noticed today that I have a 5th subscriber. Welcome. Maybe we could have a meetup, my subscribers and me, in a phone booth, if I could find one, because in this digital age of cell phones, it's kind of hard to find a phone booth these days. I can't remember the last time I actually saw a real phone booth. Anyways, the question of the day. You thought I forgot, but I didn't. So here was the question of the day. What is green and can sing? And the answer is Elvis Parsley. And that really is it for today. I'll see you again soon, and so long.